Hello, everyone. I think we are recording and live on YouTube, so we can go ahead and get started with our meeting tonight. Welcome, everyone, to our 30th Arvin and Lamont CSC meeting. My name is Liz Lev, and I'm joined here tonight by my colleague and co-facilitator, Dr. Amy Ramos. Before we open it up for our welcome and introductions, let us just take a few minutes to set up interpretation, just knowing that we have some newer members of the CSC who may be a little less familiar with the process. And then we'll go through our housekeeping and logistics slides. So on my screen, these are the instructions for selecting your interpretation channel. And I believe I will pass it off to Diana to give those instructions.
Yes, thank you. Buenas tardes. El día de hoy tenemos disponible el servicio de interpretación para los que los requieran. En la parte de abajo del menú de Zoom, si es que se están conectando desde una computadora, van a ver un icono que dice interpretación. Seleccionan el icono que tiene la forma de un globo, seleccionan español y luego silenciar el audio original. Y si se están conectando desde una tableta o un dispositivo móvil, por favor tocar su pantalla, seleccionar los 3 puntos, seleccionan interpretación de idiomas, seleccione español, silenciar el audio original y para finalizar su opción puede seleccionar finalizado, terminado o listo. Good afternoon. Today we will have interpretation available. So for those who are monolingual English speakers, if you're using a computer, you'll see at the bottom of the Zoom menu a world icon that says interpretation. You can select it and then select English. And if you're joining from a tablet or your phone, you can tap your screen, select the 3 dots, language interpretation, and then select English and finish or done. Thank you. Gracias.
Thank you so much for those instructions. Is anyone having trouble getting into the interpretation channel? If so, feel free to post in the chat or unmute and let us know so we can make sure you're set up. So as your facilitators, part of our role in these meetings is to work behind the scenes, to take attendance, offer technical assistance and general support to ensure that everyone is able to engage fully in tonight's meeting. And again, if at any point you're having trouble with Zoom or the interpretation, or if you have questions about anything else, please do feel free to message either of us and we'll be happy to help. So on the screen, you are seeing the renaming conventions, which is important for our attendance tracking and stipend distribution process. We ask that if you are a member of the CSC, please indicate that in your Zoom name by putting a CSC in front of your name if you are a member, and then an R if you are also a resident. Here we have some more instructions for the renaming conventions. If you are not a member of the CSC, please write your organization name in your Zoom name so that we can take accurate attendance of who is here tonight and who is a member of the public. So here is our virtual meeting etiquette. So please make sure to stay muted unless you are speaking. If you, excuse me, losing my voice a little bit. If you are joining by phone only, you can press *6 to mute and unmute yourself. If you have a question or a thought that you would like to share, we ask that you raise your Zoom hand. If you are on the phone and would like to participate and speak, you can raise your hand by using *9. And then we have another reminder here for residents in the stipend program. We ask that you stay on for at least 75% of the meeting, which is 90 minutes of our 2 hours together. So this slide is a review of your group agreements. As your facilitators, one of our main goals is to ensure that we can engage in productive discussion and respectful dialogue together with the intention of supporting a fair and just implementation of AB 617 within the Arvin and Lamont community. So at every CSC meeting, as many of you know, we read these norms out loud to continuously remind ourselves of these agreements. And we, as your facilitators, do our best to reinforce these norms so that they do become second nature to all of us. And with that said, sometimes we, as your facilitators, can fall short in correcting behavior that doesn't align with the norms. And we want to appreciate the CSC members who provided us with that feedback at our last agenda setting meeting. So as a reminder, I'll read our norms out loud. Everyone here in this meeting has agreed to help achieve the meeting goals by focusing on solutions, opportunities, and productive dialogue. We want to make sure that we are mindful of creating space for everyone to participate, especially our newest members of the CSC. We also ask for everyone to be kind and respectful, knowing that it is okay to disagree as long as you do so with respect and with empathy. In these meetings, we agreed to stay on point and on time. So we ask folks to please try to keep your comments brief so that everyone can have a chance to participate. As we've said before, we do recognize the urgency of these conversations and don't ever want to cut them short. But we do want to be respectful of everyone's time here. So what our team does is if we happen to be running a little over time, we will check in with the CSC and ask you all how you would like to proceed with the agenda. Next, we agreed to attack the problem and not the person. And then our last note is we have agreed to seek common ground. Building consensus and finding shared values will help us all achieve the best results. And so today you will see us, Amy and I, being more proactive and calling folks in if a norm is being violated. If we happen to miss anything in tonight's meeting, please do feel free to either jump in or send a message directly to us through the chat. There is a way to send direct messages to us if you prefer not to send it to the whole group. Amy and I are both here for you, and we do want to make sure that we are working collaboratively without causing any harm along the way. So with that, I want to pause and see if there are any questions or amendments. And I do see that Mario's hands up, and so feel free to unmute.
Good morning. I was gonna say, I would like to have a meeting for stricter rules and regulations for what's going on with the oil and gas and the pesticides and everything that's been thrown out there. If we could have a meeting to figure out a way to fix up this problem.
I think we can take note of that, and we can maybe talk about it when we get to that agenda item tonight.
It's because I feel the rules and regulations are broken, and we had to figure out a way to go back to the drawing board to do something positive with the SERB that we are doing, and that's why we are here for. And the thing is that there's a lot of rules and regulations they are breaking, and they don't care. They don't care what's going on. They don't care what they're throwing out there. And we need to do something about it. That's why we are here, to try to do something about that. That's why I want to have a meeting to figure out a way, put stricter rules and regulations. You know, we have to do it, because if we don't, all this SERB is no good for nothing, for me, for my part of it. That's what I think. We have to figure out something to fix up this problem.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mario. I think you're 100% correct. And we do have the oil and gas presentations later today. So I'll remind you to bring that back up so we can have a conversation about it when we hear directly from them. and when we talk a little bit about the subcommittee updates. So we'll make note of that so that we can come back to that point.
Yeah, the thing is that they're not following the rules. I mean, to me, they don't care who they harm. And, you know, the air district have to start standing up start putting stricter rules and regulations for these people and not be doing what they're doing. Because one of these days, there'll be so much harm to the people. And in these companies that just have excuses. That's all they have, excuses.
Yeah, and to our point, Mario, as Liz mentioned earlier, we want to make sure that we have a productive conversation and really build consensus. And so want to make sure that, you know, we're talking about the process being unfair, not individuals who are here today. So we want to have that conversation. And I see a couple hands up. So Mario, I'm going to have you wait to have that conversation so that we can really make it about attacking the problem, not the folks that are actually here being
No. It's not to attack the people.
Right.
The point is to fix up this problem and make sure they realize that these rules and regulations are going to be stricter. They have to follow by it. You know, there will be bigger penalties on them.
Right. Yeah, we will talk about it momentarily.
Okay.
I see Bianca's hand is raised and then Ryan.
I wanted to follow up what Mario was mentioning, not just to have another meeting in itself, but I think the subcommittee meetings that we've had in the past usually are maybe 2 months off or 1 month in. Like, we don't have a continuous conversation. It takes a while for us to have another subcommittee. And I think that's where we have the frustration, where we want to do a follow-up. And if it's faster for us to do that follow-up, it's much greater, not into having a couple months for another subcommittees, but actually having a continuous conversation. If we have all these state agencies, I know that the Air District has brought all these state agencies in the mix, but I think if we having the continuation that we should is important for us to do the reinforcement in the area, because as Mario was mentioning, there's a lot of violations out there, and community members are finally finding out what's going out there in their communities. And if we don't have the continuation with what's going on, then we don't know and we forget. And that's not the point. The point is to have, I'm not attacking the problem. I'm trying to find a solution to this, but actually seeing that there's not going to be another violation happening in our surrounding communities that are affecting us in a daily basis, finding a solution to all these issues.
Yeah, I think that's a great suggestion, Bianca. So we'll make note of that. When we have the subcommittee updates, I think that's something that you all can decide for yourselves how often you want to meet. So we'll make sure to bring that conversation back to the table. Ryan?
Yeah, turn my microphone off, and just wanted to, in addition to the update that we're going to give specifically about the wells, last or a couple weeks ago, we did Mario, and we'd been sending out notices to people about the rural development process, and that we were going through specifically about rules for oil and gas and leak detection and repair. And there were several amendments done to many of the rules that included reducing the leak thresholds. So those are specific actions, Mario, we took and our board approved, and it lowered the limits of what's considered a leak. It increased the frequency that operators have to perform inspections of their equipment. So those are real and tangible things that we go out and we enforce, and we, as part of our inspections, we verify that all those things are being done, all with the goal of reducing the likelihood or the chance of leaks. And so I think, to your point and to Bianca's point, this could be a bigger discussion at a subcommittee meeting that we can look to hold in the near future.
Thank you, Ryan. Go ahead, Mario.
Yeah, Ryan, I feel that we have to start doing changes. We have to change the rules and regulation, even though that you guys might think it's strict. But just stop and think, they're not strict enough. Because we still have this problem for a lot of years. And the way I seen it, they don't care. They don't care. And I feel that getting the meeting going, we could start progressing something bigger. We have to go back to the drawing board. Like that, we could figure out a way not to have this type of leaks.
Yeah, I think that's helpful, Mario, for us to unpack, right? There's a lot to unpack with that statement. And I see Cesar Aguirre has a question. Cesar, we'll read your question during the presentation because I think we can have an actual comprehensive update regarding what Ryan just shared. But before we do that, we want to make sure that we're just going through the agenda. So I think our next item is, does anybody have anything else to add to these norms before we jump into our first thing? Thanks for understanding, Cesar. I think we can go ahead, Liz.
Thank you. So here's the agenda for tonight. We will finish up with our welcome introductions, and then we will review our action items tracker. We have a presentation on wildfire outreach and education. And then, as we were just talking about, we do have an update on the oil and gas efforts in the Arvin and Lamont community. Sounds like there's definitely a lot of interest in that, and we have taken note of the comments already, and we'll be sure to bring those back up. And then we'll wrap up with our standing updates. We'll read out loud our action items and then finish up with our public comment. So I'll stop sharing my screen, and I would love to. Oh. That might have been an accidental unmute. So I think we can move to our opening remarks. Would love to invite Ryan from the Air District for any opening remarks, as well as our co-hosts. We can start with Ryan.
Buenas todas, buenas noches a todos. It's great to be here. It's been a while, and so I always enjoyed being at the meetings and talking with you. And you know, we have another good meeting, you know, planned, and appreciate all the work that the co-leads do and working with us and making sure that we're bringing topics that are important to the community steering committee. Yeah, so just happy to be here. You're going to be seeing more of me in the next few months. Jessica is going to be on maternity leave here in a couple of weeks, and so yeah, looking forward to spending more time with you.
Thank you, Ryan. Bianca, would you like to share any opening remarks?
That I want to leave the discussion open to all the concerns that community members have had in the past. And now I think this is a momentum for everybody to voice their concerns, especially for like the oil and gas. And now that we have the district and some representatives that are here to help us out, to hear our voices and to do some action in the area. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Bianca. Cesar, would you like to share any opening remarks?
Yeah, just thank you to everyone that came and joined, and especially to Mario for pushing for more action. I know that's why we're here, and also happy to hear from Ryan that the limits have been changed and that some rules that allowed former leaks to go unaddressed are being changed. So happy for the discussion, happy for the progress, and happy to get started. Thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you so much. So I think we can move to our action item tracker review. So I think I will pass it to Eric to walk us through those updates. And then we can take any questions from the CSC too.
Hi, and good afternoon, everybody, and thank you, Liz. Yes, this is Eric from the Air District. I'll go ahead and share my screen. You all see the action items? Okay. So we actually had a little bit of an update with our action items. We did create a table of contents for you all for easier navigation. So this is something that we're gonna implement CSC wide, and we do have links to all of these items. So via online, you're gonna be able to click on these links and it'll take you to our sections. So in progress, complete, ongoing, and comment noted. So really quick, I'll go through them. So these action items are actively being pursued. So we are working with you all, agency partners and staff for these in progress action items. Complete action items are complete, ongoing. So these action items are they're going to continuously being pursued. So they don't have like a timeline, but they are obviously ongoing. And comment noted are all the great comments that you all submit to us. So I'll go ahead and show you how this table of contents works. I'll go ahead and click on the completed section just to show you where it takes us. So it'll take us to the completed section. If you'd like to return to the beginning, you could go ahead and click on this bottom tab, return to the beginning, and it'll take you back up to the table of contents. I'll go ahead and drop the link for this as well in the chats. Yep. Alrighty. All right. And none of these action items have changed. Every action item is the same. Just the in progress, just some of the labeling is different. So all of your work is still saved. So I'll go ahead and click on in progress and move to our first action item. So our first action item was you all had great feedback on how to plan for the residential lawn and garden equipment exchange events. So we are going to work with the CSC to find strategies to best suit both the Arvin and Lamont communities. And we do plan to have this event in September. And our next action item actually relates to the same lawn and garden events. So now that we have the when, we are looking for the how. So the district is welcomes comments for the CSC on how to ensure Arvin and Lamont and all of the other smaller communities get access to this event as well. So we look forward to working with all of your organizations just to brainstorm the best approach. And I'll go ahead and utilize this new tool. So back to the beginning, and I'll go ahead and scroll down to our completed section. So in our completed section, our last action, 29.1 for our last meeting. So you all had great feedback and you all wanted to receive materials for the CSC meeting a week prior. So via mailed out, whatever it may be. We just wanted to reemphasize that the district is always welcome. We always welcome you all to send us an email, or please feel free to reach out if you need printed materials, different languages, and whatever you may need. Go ahead and return to the beginning. And just to show you our ongoing section. So these are items that are going to be ongoing. They just got moved into a different section. So this is the same exact action items. I'll go ahead and pause right there. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Could you zoom in a little bit?
Oh, for sure.
Thank you.
Here.
And if you were pausing for questions, we do have one from Mario.
Go ahead, Mario.
Yeah, it's like I said it last time, a couple of times already. I feel that this type of information, a lot of people do not know how to use the computer. Maybe if we could figure out a way to send out some papers to the members, like that they could get a better idea, especially the new members. You know, like that they could get a better idea. Most of the time, you guys just say, "Oh, look it up in the computer." You guys are used to using the computer. A lot of people do not use computers, you know, like me. And the thing is that I feel that we need to send out information to the people like that. If they want to use the computer, they could get all the information to send out. And two, we need more public awareness. We need more. That's all.
Mario, thank you so much for that comment. We'll go ahead and note that down, actually. Okay. And I know this tool is a little bit new, so if anybody else had any questions, we can go ahead and answer those.
And Eric, could you remind me, I do think the Air District sends out paper copies of the meeting materials in advance for those who request it. Is that true?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
So if any of the CSC members wanted to request paper copies, we'll be more than happy to send some of those out. Yeah, I'll go ahead and pass it back to.
Thank you. Any more questions or comments about the action items? And if not, I think we can move on to our next agenda item, which is the wildfire outreach and education. I believe I am passing it off to Amy to give us a little bit of context for that item.
Thanks, Liz, and thanks everyone for being so engaged tonight. I'm really looking forward to hearing more of your questions and really having a engaging dialogue. For our next agenda item, we will be spending about 40 minutes or so talking about the wildfire outreach and education. As you all know, part of our new normal as Californians is living with wildfires. Wildfires can happen at any time, but especially in the hot summer months that we're currently experiencing. Therefore, it's critically important for you and for your loved ones to prepare for the season. So for you to be helpful, it's vital that you are taking care of yourself so that you can take care of others and you can help others in your community. So for this agenda item, we'd like to hear directly from the Valley Air District about some of the outreach and education that's taking place to build your own capacity for you to prepare for the wildfires and to help prepare the rest of the community. So with that said, I'm going to pass it directly back to the Air District. I'm not sure who's presenting tonight. Was it you, Mari?
Sí, yo soy Marisela. Hola, muy buenas tardes. Es un placer de estar aquí con ustedes. Soy Marisela del Distrito del Aire, supervisora en el Departamento de Alcance y Comunicaciones. Y estoy aquí, como mencionaron, para poder hablarles un poquito acerca de qué es lo que podemos hacer, porque sabemos que aquí vivimos en el Valle de San Joaquín y a veces tenemos los impactos de los incendios forestales y por eso les vamos a hablar un poco acerca de lo que hacemos en nuestro departamento para poder darles este mensaje a los residentes, a los medios de comunicación y en qué maneras lo hacemos. Voy a poner mi diapositiva, un momento. Okay. Bueno, no está funcionando, un momento. Ok. ¿Pueden ver la diapositiva? ¿Me pueden? Sí, ok, perfecto. Ok, de nuevo estamos aquí para hablar un poquito acerca de lo que podemos hacer acerca de los incendios forestales. Oh, y no está funcionando, a ver. I can't. Nos puedo avanzar la diapositiva un momento. Eric, ¿puedes venir a ayudarme un poquito, por favor?
Sí puedo ayudar. Un momento.
Gracias.
Um,
Disculpe que estamos teniendo problemas técnicos. Un momento.
okay. Okay. For the English speaking folks, I can go ahead and present. For the Spanish speaking folks, puedo presentar la presentación para hoy. ¿Está bien,
I
Mari?
just need you to come into my office. Sorry.
Oh.
To help me
Okay,
with that.
Un momento.
Thank you.
Marisela, si gustas, podemos enseñar la presentación.
Okay, how do you advance it to the next?
Thank you, everyone, for your patience. As you can see, these are live meetings, and we're experiencing a little bit of technical difficulties. We'll be back momentarily as Marisela is getting ready to present this critical update regarding wildfire preparation. Please do feel free to look at some of the comments that are in the chat so you can access and download the presentation that Marisela is going to present there, and you can see that folks are starting to comment. Are you ready, Marisela? If you'd like, I can show it on my end too.
Okay, creo que ahora sí ya estamos listos. ¿Sí pueden ver la presentación?
Sí.
Ok, perfecto. Ok. Disculpa que estábamos teniendo problemas técnicos. Era el sistema o el programa que estaba utilizando. Ok. ¿Está claro? ¿Todo lo pueden ver bien? Ok, gracias. Ok, entonces, ¿qué es lo que hacemos con la comunicación a través para poder darle esta información a los medios? Es publicamos un comunicado de prensa para poder proporcionar esta información, pero tiene que ser precisa y oportuna para dejarles saber al público de que estamos viendo los impactos de estos incendios forestales a través del valle. Porque sabemos que proteger la salud pública es lo más importante en estas temporadas. ¿Y cómo lo hacemos? Lo hacemos directamente al público a través de llamadas telefónicas, si es necesario. Mandamos o enviamos correos electrónicos. Y también es posible que tengamos eventos a través del valle para poder difundir esta información. Y aparte de no nomás dejarles saber cuando estamos siendo afectados por estos incendios forestales, pero también cuando tenemos un evento les dejamos saber qué es lo que pueden hacer para poder protegerse y qué es lo que decimos cuando estamos haciendo eso, de que deben de cubrirse, ¿verdad? O tratar de cubrirse la boca y la nariz para que no estén respirando estas partículas, pero también para que sepan de que no deben de hacer actividades al aire libre o hacer ejercicio, porque eso les puede afectar. ¿Qué otras cosas hacemos cuando hablamos con el público durante estos incendios forestales? Utilizamos las diferentes plataformas de redes sociales, las aplicaciones móviles y a los medios locales en inglés y en español para poder educar e informar a los residentes. Hoy, especialmente hoy, mandamos un medio de comunicación a los medios y les dejamos saber de que es el tiempo de los fuegos artificiales y que lo que queremos hacer es alentar o concientizar a los residentes de que el uso de los fuegos artificiales de ellos mismos nos están afectando y afecta la calidad del aire. Y tuvimos ya como 3 o 4 entrevistas hoy solamente para poder otra vez educar al público de que cosas que hacemos nosotros aquí en el Valle nos puede afectar a todos. Y aquí en este diapositiva tenemos un ejemplo de uno de los sistemas que también utilizamos, que viene siendo ayudar al público cómo pueden hacer un purificador de aire improvisado. Y en esta diapositiva pueden ver que una persona, si no tiene un purificador de aire, simplemente utilizando un ventilador cuadrado y usando filtros de aire con la clasificación MERV de 3C o más alto y una cinta como tape, lo pueden hacer uno y crear uno para que lo puedan tener, para que les pueda ayudar en una sala y crear esa habitación de aire limpio. Y yo veo que tengo una pregunta de ya sea Mario o Elvia.
Yeah, I just want to know, how do you guys give out the information to the public?
Sí, es lo que estamos hablando un poquito ahorita acerca de cómo es que lo hacemos. Uno es hablar con los medios de comunicación para poder difundir esta información, ya sea que hacemos entrevistas o enviamos un comunicado de prensa para que tengan todos los detalles. Pero aparte de eso, también estamos mandando información a través de las redes sociales. Y en la siguiente, parece que es en la siguiente diapositiva, menciona sí, aquí está. En la siguiente diapositiva hablamos un poquito acerca de los diferentes redes sociales que hacemos. Utilizamos Facebook, Twitter, Instagram y Nextdoor. Y en todas estas publicaciones no solamente lo hacemos en inglés, que también lo hacemos en español en estas redes sociales. Y aparte de eso también, cuando vamos a diferentes tipos de eventos de alcance, hacemos lo mismo. Estamos hablando de esto, pasamos en una de las otras diapositivas, está un documento de lo que estamos distribuyendo en estas comunidades para poder difundir ese mensaje.
Yeah, you think that you guys reach a lot of people? Because I haven't seen no information on what you're talking about. I mean, now look at Facebook, I see Twitter, and I haven't seen one announcement of what you're talking about. That's why I was asking, how do you give out the information if the people ain't not getting it? I mean, you could tell me what you guys are doing, but I'm not seeing it.
Ok, muy buen punto. Es posible, lo que voy a hacer es de que ya después podemos hablar un poquito acerca de qué otras maneras de alcance ustedes nos pueden ofrecer, porque esas son buenas. Si usted no lo está viendo, déjenos saber. Y si es posible, Mario, ahorita si quieres, nos puedes dejar saber como qué otras maneras piensas que podemos utilizar este mensaje. Voy a tomar esa oportunidad de recibir esos tipos de comentarios en este momento.
I feel that you should go to the news and maybe teach the public, and not only that, maybe try to give some information, sending it on the newspaper or any other way. I mean, there's a lot of ways to do it, but my point is that we need to have more public awareness, more public announcements. And to be honest with you, I'm not seeing it. I mean, we talk about it all the time, but I'm not seeing it. And it concerns me because, I mean, you could say whatever you want to say, but I'm not seeing it. And I feel that we have to figure out a way to do it.
Ok, Mario, la siguiente pregunta que tengo para ti es, ¿no has visto la información acerca de los incendios forestales específicamente o simplemente dices cualquier programa del Distrito del Aire?
Yeah, no announcement on San Joaquin Air District. I haven't seen one yet. I've seen a program when you guys gave out the tractors. I've seen that, but I haven't seen one yet on Facebook or on the news or anywhere. I haven't seen nothing. And I mean, I'm all over the place. Believe me, I'm all over the place and I haven't seen it. I think we need more public awareness.
Yo sé que una de las cosas que sí, gracias por esa información, Mario. Yo sé de que una de las cosas que sí estamos trabajando ahorita con nuestra agencia am, de la que nos hace con ¿cómo se dice en español? Advertising. Esa agencia que viene siendo, con la que trabajamos, ellos, ahorita estamos trabajando con ellos para poder difundir algo que ustedes nos están pidiendo, que viene siendo la información que se les va a enviar directamente a los hogares, hablando de ciertos programas de nosotros. Y la otra cosa que también estamos trabajando es algo que tú nos has mencionado que quieres, que viene siendo algún tipo de mensaje que esté dispuesto a las comunidades. Entonces, ahorita lo que están trabajando es, vamos a estar mostrando, ¿cómo se dice? Como una banderilla que se va a poner en los shopping centers, en los centros de comercio, para poder mostrar la información del Distrito del Aire. Esas son unas de las cosas con las que estamos trabajando ahorita, pero va a haber más en el futuro. Y ahorita con las notas que me dijiste, también voy a tomar nota porque es posible de que podemos hacer más con el periódico que está allí disponible. ¿Me puedes decir qué es el periódico que están leyendo ustedes allí? ¿Es el Popular? Mario?
Yeah, yeah, the popular, but it's not, I don't even think it exists no more because I haven't seen it. But I got an idea. I got a really good idea. You might have to get a channel. Have a channel, and then you could give out information of the air district. You could give out information for carb, rehab, whatever, and educate the people on the TV when they see a program. And you could get your channel and you could tell them anything you want. The county use it and everybody. And more people will get more awareness on seeing on TV because most of the people they're, seeing TV. And because I seen it over there in Pismo Beach. When I went to go and visit over there, they had a channel showing out the county with all the road work. They show the area. They'll tell you when the work will be at, workplace they'll do the job at. Any problem with the water, they'll tell you right there. Or air district, whatever plan they have, you can put it on there. And I feel that we should try to get a channel. I mean, if you guys all get together, pitch in
Okay.
and make a channel. And I'll be honest with you. I think more people will get more public awareness on that channel when they want to get any information. And I'm still waiting for the billboard, the electronic billboard. I'm still after that one.
Y es algo que, como mencioné, Mario, gracias por esos comentarios. Vamos a investigar un poquito más, pero ya sé que el billboard electrónico es algo que estás queriendo, pero ahorita creo que lo que vamos a hacer es, como mencioné anteriormente, es tener estos, en inglés se le dice, ¿cómo dijeron? They're banners que van a poner en los shopping centers, en los centros de comercio. Ahorita pueden a veces, como para el tiempo de la Navidad o en la primavera, a veces ponen estas banderillas. Eso es lo que estamos implementando o vamos a estar implementando en estos próximos meses para poder brindar el mensaje del Distrito del Aire. Aparte de Mario, ¿alguien más tiene alguna sugerencia que están presentes aquí? ¿En cuál podemos, otras maneras que podemos hacer alcance para el público? No nomás aquí para los incendios forestales, pero para cualquier programa del Distrito del Aire.
Marisela, parece que tenemos un comentario de Minerva, si dice anuncios o letreros.
Ok. Anuncios y letreros en donde, Minerva. ¿Nos puedes dejar eso en el comentario o encender el micrófono, por favor? Ok, creo que a lo mejor va a ponerlo en el chat. Veo la mano de Jesús Alonso. Jesús.
Sí, me gusta la idea de el billboard, o también un área, un centro de información, donde nuestro público, se la pasa o tiene mucho tiempo en, como García's Market, todos donde vamos a agarrar el lonche. También las bibliotecas. Pero no solo dejando información allí, pero como teniendo un channel, como andaba diciendo Mario, o comerciales, dando información y dejando a la gente saber dónde pueden ir a recibir esa información, como digo, las bibliotecas, cosas así.
Ok, muchas gracias, Jesús. Sí nos gusta esta información porque una de las cosas que sé que nuestra agencia ya ha hecho es, le dicen carteles posters. Estos carteles los ponen afuera de los centros comerciales de unas de las tiendas, especialmente como los markets, ¿verdad? Donde tienen una área para poder poner letreros. Ya sé que estamos haciendo eso, pero es posible que necesitamos que hacer más, ¿verdad? Para que puedan el público concientizarse y saber de lo que estamos proporcionando. No puedo ver el chat, Amy, pero veo que los números están cambiando. ¿Me puedes dejar saber qué es lo que están diciendo?
Sí, Maria Gonzalez, I think the root of social media is a great idea. If we get a channel, how are people going to know that there is a channel to get that information? Everyone has some sort of social media account. So more about asking, even if you did start a channel, Marisela, how would you do the outreach?
Sobre el canal, no agarré la última. Sería algo que tenemos que investigar con nuestra agencia para ver qué es lo que se puede hacer, pero es posible que en el futuro, cuando tenga otra oportunidad de hablar con ustedes, puedo traer más información. Evelyn, parece que tienes la mano alzada, por favor. No se oye nada. Oh. Okay.
Sorry, I was double muted. So I think instead of a channel, because that seems to overcomplicate it, so let's try to keep it simple. And the easiest way, in my opinion, is we all come in and leave our cities to go to work, run errands, things like that. Perhaps doing some sort of banner at the main entrances and exits of the city with the QR code. Everybody has a phone that links to the internet that you can follow the link, because it's going to be overwhelming to try to put everything on the flyer. And so somebody's going to have a phone, be it a son, daughter, whatever it is. There are resources. You can put a link, things like that. If you are wanting to search the information and it's important to you, you will get to it. I don't think that mass distribution of paper products is one, good for the environment, but it's not as realistic as one might think. But that's just my opinion, but I think the QR code would be a simple way to provide all of the resources in one location.
Okay. Gracias por los comentarios, Evelyn. Ok, voy a seguir con la siguiente. No estoy viendo alguna otra mano ahorita en este momento. Voy a seguir con la siguiente diapositiva para poder seguir avanzando la presentación. Otras de las cosas que podemos mencionar es de las diferentes herramientas que están disponibles para mostrar la calidad del aire. Sabemos de que en los últimos años han habido un incremento en la cantidad de herramientas que están disponibles. Entonces les educamos al público también, ¿verdad? Tenemos el mensaje para poder dejarles saber de que hay muchas diferentes aplicaciones móviles que brindan esta información y que es algo fácil para que ellos puedan ver en tiempo actual de qué es la calidad del aire. Y aquí en esta diapositiva vemos que está el sistema de nosotros que viene siendo la aplicación Valley Air. Y esta le da la información. En este caso, este día el nivel era 5 y aquí en este día deberían todas las personas, los que estaban en este Valle de San Joaquín, se les recomienda de que no salgan para nada y eliminar o evitar el uso o actividades al aire libre. Y luego aquí, y la razón, porque en la siguiente imagen iba a mostrar de que la calidad del aire todo el día estuvo insalubre en el nivel 5. Entonces, como en esta recomendación, las personas cuando ven esto no deben de salir para afuera. Si el nivel hubiera sido en el 1 acá abajo, entonces en ese momento, ok, todo está bien, van a poder salir. Y luego aquí la tercera imagen viene siendo la de la EPA, que viene siendo Air Now. Y aquí este día era un día insalubre y en este día en la calidad del aire, en el índice de la calidad del aire era el 170 y es insalubre. La aplicación de nosotros, como les mencioné, la aplicación de Valley Air ha sido descargada más de 59,490 veces. Entonces sabemos que los residentes de aquí del Valle de San Joaquín sí lo están utilizando. Pero sabemos de que esta no es la única manera de poder recibir esta información. Tenemos estas herramientas, también, como les digo, las redes sociales. Y luego aquí en esta diapositiva habla un poquito más acerca de nuevos tipos de herramientas. Sabemos que el mapa de humo y incendios, que en inglés se dice Smoke and Fire Map, esto aquí estamos mostrando cómo se puede ver a lo largo de todo el ¿cómo se dice? De todo el estado. Cuando utilizas esta aplicación, no solamente te va a dar lo del estado, sino que ahorita también sabemos de que estamos siendo afectados por los incendios de Canadá. En esta imagen, si lo tuviéramos ahorita abierto y disponible, podemos ver el humo que está viniendo de esa área. Entonces, también se puede ver cómo puede afectar los otros estados también. Pero nomás es una captura, una imagen de lo que estaba sucediendo ese día. Y como les mencioné ya aquí en la última parte, dice que en los últimos años hemos visto que se han puesto a disposición más herramientas y sabemos de que cada vez muchas diferentes aplicaciones van a estar disponibles, pero es para que ustedes estén informados de la calidad del aire actual. La siguiente diapositiva, la otra página que tenemos es una página web que es la prevención y respuesta a incendios forestales. Esta está en el sitio web de nosotros. Aquí está el enlace aquí abajo. Esta página le va a dejar saber en esta área, si estuvieran ahí en esta página, les mostraría si hay algún incendio forestal que nos está afectando y estaría en rojo. En el momento ahorita no se están viendo ningún incendio forestal, por eso es que no hay ninguna alerta para dejarles saber de que algo está sucediendo. Pero en esta misma página pueden encontrar diferentes enlaces. Tenemos la infográfica que muestra qué es cuáles son los impactos de humo de los incendios forestales, porque sabemos que las partículas son muy pequeñas y pueden entrar al sistema de la sangre y nos puede afectar a todos. Pero aparte de eso, también pueden encontrar información para esas personas que trabajan afuera, ya sea del campo, ya sea los trabajadores de construcción. Hay muchos trabajadores que sí tienen que hacer el trabajo todos los días. Entonces, hay una regulación por la agencia de Cal OSHA. Y en este enlace, si están en esta página, pueden encontrar información acerca de eso también. Y como les mencioné, aquí está la infografía trilingüe de incendios forestales. Como les mencioné, es para dejarles saber qué es lo que pasa cuando estas partículas bien pequeñas entran a nuestro sistema. Lo que pueden hacer es que puede causar infecciones pulmonares, ataques de asma, y también pueden afectar, pueden causar un ataque cerebral, también pueden tener problemas a respirar o problemas de ataques del corazón. Y también incluye la información acerca de cómo se pueden proteger, de que se tiene que mantener adentro del hogar para que pueda respirar el aire limpio, ¿verdad? Reemplace sus filtros, así para poder reducir o minimizar lo que está respirando de afuera. Y también cuando hablamos de las mascarillas, las cubrebocas, hablamos de que las personas tienen que utilizar una que ya sea N95. Sabemos que están un poquito más disponibles ya ahora después de COVID. Las N95 son las que les van a proteger más que las mascarillas de tela. La siguiente diapositiva habla un poquito acerca del programa de centros de aire limpio. Este programa para todos ahorita en el Valle de San Joaquín, estamos lanzando este programa donde va a ofrecerle a las personas, a las poblaciones vulnerables, un alivio de los incendios forestales. Vamos a suponer que en su casa no tienen un aire acondicionado que pueda filtrarlo porque no pueden ponerle filtro, o simplemente algo está pasando en la casa que no puedan estar allí porque les está siendo afectados por el humo. Lo que pueden hacer es que vamos a tener centros a través del Valle de San Joaquín. Ahorita estamos trabajando en este programa y es posible que en el futuro les podamos mandar un correo electrónico con esta información, pero vamos a tener varios a través del Valle que son como centros comunitarios, pueden ser una librería, van a estar abiertos para, sí, es como, en este caso va a ser como un centro de, hay veces que cuando está muy frío abren las librerías o los centros comunitarios para que puedan mantenerse adentro y no ser afectados por el frío o por el calor. Esto va a ser algo igual, pero esto va a ser para un centro de aire limpio. Y como mencioné aquí, van a ser, sí, ahí dice que los centros para personas mayores, centros deportivos, bibliotecas, todos esos van a poder ser posibles, y luego son edificios con acceso al público. La última, parece que acá estamos al final. Les voy a dar una actualización sobre el programa de habitaciones de aire limpio. Este programa estábamos dando purificadores de aire residenciales gratis. Esto, si usted vivía en una comunidad desfavorecida o de bajos ingresos, estábamos dando estos purificadores de aire. Para el condado de Kern, ahorita parece que ya estamos en una lista de espera, pero si ustedes tienen todavía la oportunidad de poder ingresar a este sitio web que viene siendo valleyair.org, Room Purifier, o simplemente llámenos. Eric, si puedes poner el número de teléfono de nuestra oficina central, y si quieren ayuda a cómo inscribirse para este programa, simplemente llámenos. Ese número de teléfono es 559-230-6000 y nosotros podemos ayudarles a poner su solicitud para que puedan recibir este purificador. Sepan que, como ya mencioné, ahorita estamos en una lista de espera para este condado, pero es posible que podamos recibir fondos adicionales para poder luego seguir con esta lista de espera. Pero este programa está abierto todavía en otros condados porque todavía el fondo se fue difundido, ¿verdad? Eran 4 millones, 4,000 millones de dólares que se fueron programados para este programa y los están distribuyendo a los diferentes condados. Pero si gusta estar en la lista de espera en el condado de Kern, por favor, inscríbanse a este sitio web o llámenos. Y luego al final el distrito está recopilando información sobre logística para una cartelera comunitaria o un letrero informativo grande. Ya habíamos hablado de esto, como mencionó Mario. Y luego el distrito también está coordinando con el comité y los diferentes líderes para asociarse con el personal de eventos para ver qué podemos hacer, ya sea una feria de salud, otro evento comunitario, para organizarnos con ellos y tener un evento de césped y jardín. Y es todo lo que tengo. Voy a parar de compartir. Ok, y parece que tenemos una pregunta. Mario.
Yeah, I was thinking about what I was telling you guys. A channel is good to do because depends on the mindset of the people. You know, you got teenagers, they use their phones and all that, but the seniors and all that, they see more TV. They don't use their phone. They don't even know how to use it sometimes. And I feel that we have to pause and let's think about what benefits who. And, you know, we have to just analyze and figure out, let's see what will work. And I think a channel will work because for the older people, like that, they could have a better understanding. That's all.
Thank you, Mario and Marisela. Also on the chat, Minerva commented that potentially having TV commercials on local channels would be an effective outreach strategy.
Sí, todas esas buenas ideas, comentarios, gracias. Es lo que sí estamos trabajando aquí en el Departamento de Comunicaciones y Alcance. Tenemos ahorita, estamos programando más comerciales con nuestros, los que han beneficiado de las diferentes subvenciones de aquí del Distrito del Aire. Aparte de eso, también con nuestra mesa directiva. Aparte de eso, estamos trabajando en comerciales de radio, para la radio, que va a ser acerca de los diferentes programas que estamos promoviendo aquí. Sabemos que estamos trabajando en ello y hay mucho más y vamos a seguir trabajando en esto juntos. Gracias.
Thank you so much, Marisela. At this time, if you have any questions about the wildfire outreach and education, any questions about the second part of the presentation as well, now would be the time before we transition to our next agenda item. All right, not seeing any questions at this time. However, if you do come up with something new or have a new idea, please feel free to put it in the chat and we'll be sure to read it aloud before we end today's meeting. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and transition us to our next agenda item. So for our next agenda item, we do have a comprehensive update on oil and gas efforts that are happening here in the Arvin, Lamont area. For today, we have 3 agencies that are available today to give you a comprehensive update. We have CalGEM, CARB, and of course the Valley Air District that's going to provide us with several versions of an update. We are pleased to welcome back CalGEM to the team, or the CalGEM team, to today's meeting to provide us with an update in its most recent efforts to address oil well impacts in your community. We all know that you all have a lot of questions. We attended the subcommittee meeting where there were many questions. There were many questions last time. So we want to encourage you to be thinking about even more questions and feel free to put them in the chat or to raise your hand. We do want to make sure we get through the update so that you are all aware of how things are moving forward. So we'll be sure to take your questions in the order that they are asked. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and pass it to the CalGEM team. I'm looking at my screen to see who is going to kick us off. Is CalGEM not here today? I'm not seeing the CalGEM team right now. Okay, going once, going twice. Public record, the CalGEM team is not here today. So we're going to go ahead and pass it to CARB for their updates. I know I did see folks from CARB earlier. I see Michelle, there you are.
I'm here. I'm wondering if anyone is here with me from CARB, more specifically on the update you're looking for. I'm sorry, I'm not seeing anyone. Do you see anyone else?
I'm here, Michelle. Sorry, my voice is gone.
Uh-oh, I'm sorry. Do you have any information to share, Udo? Or if you want to relay it to me, you can do that. I'm thinking no.
Sorry, I have nothing for the oil and gas right now.
Thank you. I'm sorry you sound unwell. I hope you're feeling better soon.
Thank you.
Okay, so Go ahead, Michelle.
I was just gonna say, I have a standing update, but I don't know if that's what you're looking for right now.
No,
Yeah, that's
not
what I
right
thought.
now. We can definitely come back to that setting update later in today's agenda. But this was really an opportunity for CalGEM and CARB to provide us an update on many of the action items that were requested during the last subcommittee meeting and during the last meeting. So I was part of the planning for today's meeting, and I did hear from CARB and CalGEM and that you all had an update for today. So we're going to go ahead and turn that into a new action item and have you all come back with a presentation for the community. At this time, I do want to make some space to see if our Valley Air District has any updates or any comments regarding this item before we move to the next agenda item.
Jennifer, you turn your microphone on.
Thank you. I'm a little rusty. Hi, everyone. This is Jennifer Lettergerber. I'm the compliance manager for the Air District. I do have a brief update on some of our re-inspections that were performed for the Sunray wells this week. So of the 11 wells that were identified as leaking during our inspections on May 24th, 8 of those wells were repaired and re-inspected as in compliance with District Rule 4409, and that's our light oil components rule. Additionally, 3 of those wells are still undergoing repair. And then 6 wells have what we call open-ended lines, where there are not active emissions coming out of those, but they do require a blind or a plug or 2 closed valves to be in compliance with District Rule 4409. Our next joint inspections or re-inspections, I should call them, at Sunray will take place next week. That will be with District and CalGEM staff on site. And we hope to find that the remaining wells have been repaired so they may be re-inspected. And that's my update.
Thank you, Jennifer, for that update. We do have a question from CSC for you.
Sure.
Will they receive NOVs for the open-ended lines?
Yes, so the open-ended lines were included in the NOVs that we issued to Sunray, correct?
To follow up on that, so to date, we've issued notices of violation for every violation of our rules and regulations and the state regulation at this time.
Thank you both. And I do know earlier, Jennifer, we did have a question from CSC as well about the new limits and the frequencies of inspections. So maybe we can add that to a follow-up action item, but if you have any insights right now that you're willing to share, just, I know you provided a link to the website as well on the new limits and frequency of inspections, that would be helpful.
Sure, I can talk about those briefly. So in the 5 LDAR rules that our board just adopted, we did lower the leak threshold, I think as Ryan talked about earlier, down to 500 ppm in most cases. For some components in those rules, there were already standards below 500 ppm, and so that didn't change. Those remained at those low levels. But the rule amendments established lower leak rates down to 500 ppm. And additionally, I think Ryan mentioned this before as well, but the operators are now required to inspect those components on a quarterly basis, whereas before there was a mixture of quarterly and annual inspection requirements. Now there's been established quarterly inspections for operators.
Thank you, Jennifer. CSC, does that clarify your question? Just want to make sure you don't have any follow-up before I transition to Mario's question.
Yeah, and I know the LDAR is self-reporting operator logs. Are those leak detections? Do you have access to those operator logs? I know they're required to report if they find anything.
Yeah. Yes, so they do, the operators are required to keep record of their leak detection and repair inspections. It's a record that we look at during our annual inspections. We comb through those records. We ensure that, you know, the repairs have been made within the timeframes of the different rules. And so, yes, those are records that we often request and we absolutely look at during our annual inspections, or even our semi-annual inspections.
Sounds good. Thank you,
Yeah.
Jennifer.
You're welcome.
All right, I'm going to ask Mario to unmute and ask your question, please.
Yeah, I got a question, on the rules and regulations on leaks. Is it the same rules and regulations that when they let out the gas whenever they want? Because that was my understanding how I was seeing it, that they have the right to let the gas go out.
This is Amy. Mario, can you clarify your question?
If the rules and regulations, is it the same when they got a leak? You know, when the gas is coming out? My understanding, what I know was they got the right to let out the gas whenever they want. It's the same, is it different, or?
Are you referring to like natural gas venting to like make repairs on natural gas lines, like from a utility?
No.
Or like in an oil field?
Oil field.
So let me try to answer Jennifer real quick.
Yeah.
So there's no allowance that says that any operator can just release as much gas as they want. I mean, there's requirements that they have to have controls on the tank and that they have to perform leak checks on their equipment to ensure that they're not leaking.
Yeah, I know they got it in a certain way to let it go out, but the way I was hearing it was they let the gas out however they want, whenever they want. That was my understanding.
Yeah, I'm not, yeah, like I said, Mario, we have requirements that they have to have control devices and they have things that,
No, I totally understand, but
Yeah.
I'm just telling you what I heard.
okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Mario, and thank you, Ryan. It sounds like there's some misinformation out there, Mario, but we are clarifying, the Air District is clarifying for the record that that is not the case. So with that,
It's just just I'm throwing it out there like that. We could have a better understanding.
yeah,
You know.
thank you, Mario, for noting that, and we'll continue to learn about the need for more education and outreach around some of these rules. At this time, I'm going to ask Jesus to unmute and ask your question.
Yes, I have a couple questions here. The first one is on the self-inspections. What safety measures are there to ensure that the operator is coming back with the right information or the correct information? And the reason for that question is because, we have, operators like Sunray that, refuse to fix a leak well knowing that, it's putting people's lives in danger. So, what incentive do they have to truthfully report back from their self-inspections?
Yeah, maybe I'll cover that one too, Jennifer. So Sunray in the Blackstone is an exceptional circumstance. That is by no means the typical operator. That's effectively an orphaned well, where basically both operators, there's questions on whether or not they're still legally operating businesses, and so that thankfully that is the kind of the exception. In regards to operations, ongoing operations, production operations, there are strict requirements to maintain record keeping, and Jennifer talks about that. A lot of cases they use third-party operators that perform the inspections for them, and then they give them copies of those reports that they then maintain. to answer your question, like, if people were to falsify those somehow, and we were able to confirm that or verify that, there's a lot more. There's an ability to elevate those violations. I mean, that could eventually go into the area of criminal violations, and so in what we've seen is that the operators do perform the inspections, and they perform the repairs that they're required to, and the operators, you're talking about safety risks and other things associated with those things. So I mean, it's in their interest to also maintain their equipment and to perform those repairs as quickly as possible. So by increasing the frequency that they're doing that, the goal is to find those leaks, repair them as quickly as possible. And by looking at it more, even before there's things that are considered leaks, that they're repairing things to prevent leaks from occurring.
Is there any follow-up onto these self-inspections? Just double checking that the data that they're submitting is correct.
So absolutely, that's the inspections that we perform. I mean, in addition to us sniffing those equipment ourselves, we take out imaging devices that can see plumes if they're there. In addition to taking out monitors, and we actually sniff those components ourselves. And then in addition to that, we also look at their records, and that's what Jennifer was talking about. So there's a lot of double checking, verification, done not only by us. I know CARB is also going out and doing some of this work in addition to CalGEM as well.
Okay. And then somewhat of a question that goes along those lines. And I'm looking at preventative action here. Sunray has a history of allowing wells to leak into communities. We saw that in Bakersfield. We're seeing that now in Lamont and Arvin. We know that they have operational wells right up against several neighborhoods in our community. And I imagine they will continue the pattern. Is there any preventative measure or anything going on to prevent them from abandoning those wells as well? And then just allowing them to leak into the community?
And I really wish CalGEM was here to answer that more fully. My understanding, Jesus, is that they basically, CalGEM has done an order against all of Sunray's wells. That they were supposed to, plug and abandon all their wells at some point, and that they're no longer operating any wells. But Jennifer, I don't know if that is your understanding as well.
That does sound correct to me, and yeah, CalGEM would probably be the best to speak on.
So we'll mark that up. I see Erica, and we got her hand raised.
Hi, my apologies. I was scrambling to try to find the CalGEM folks who I thought were attending this meeting tonight. So my name is Erica Georgia. I am an attorney who works with CalGEM, and that is correct. We do have several orders against Sunray and another operator, Blackstone, requiring them to plug and abandon their wells, decommission facilities, and restore leases. I'm not aware of any active wells that Sunray operates. All the wells that we've identified are idle wells, and they need to be plugged and abandoned properly. And that's what would be required from our orders. My apologies for not speaking up sooner. Again, I was hoping to find the staff who were supposed to present tonight.
Thank you, Erica. This is Amy. Appreciate you speaking up and providing some clarity on that. So we'll be sure to make this an action item so that when CalGEM does come back to our meeting, that we can get some direction from them and some next steps. Francisco, I see you have your hand raised as well.
Sí, yo tengo una pregunta porque la pompa que está aquí en la Nelson Core, aquí donde están las casas estas donde vivo yo, lo encontraron en mayo que estaba en violación y que hallaron que estaba a punto de explotar, había problemas para explotar el pozo ahí y quiero saber si ya lo repararon o todavía sigue la fuga ahí.
Francisco, it's Amy. I think because CalGEM is not here, we don't have an answer for you today. So CalGEM not being here is preventing us from giving you a comprehensive update on oil and gas.
Francisco, I can go back to CalGEM's staff and find out the status of the work that was being done on those wells. I'm just not prepared today to provide an update.
Thank you. And
Ok, muchísimas gracias.
gracias, Francisco. And so Jennifer, I'm not sure if you or Ryan know the answer to this question, but we do have a couple questions. So I want to just, for public record, read them out loud. So in the chat, I'm seeing a question from Evelyn. When an operator finds a leak, are they required to re-inspect to prove the leak was repaired? Is that part of the self-reporting process?
Yes, it is. They are required to make those repairs, note the date that those repairs were made, and keep that information in their logs and in their record. And those are the ones that we review during our inspections.
Thank you for saying that aloud. And there's a comment also from Roberto Gonzalez. And I think this comment came in when Mario was talking about potentially being witness to some misinformation about some of the oil refineries releasing gas when they shouldn't be. There's a comment here that says that the refinery on Panama Inn does that. I don't know, Roberto, if you want to provide some more context. I did see when that came in, but I don't have any more context there than what's in the chat. Okay, I'm not seeing.
¿Hello?
Oh, go ahead, Roberto.
Sí, mira, la refinería que está aquí en Whippech, Highway y Panama Lane, tuvimos varias veces quejándonos el año pasado porque lo hace muy común. Suelta el gas y huele muy mal. Huele muy mal porque mi hermana tiene una casa ahí por la avenida Cam, a un lado de la refinería. Y si estamos afuera, no se puede estar afuera. Tuvimos que hablar a 911 y luego mandaron un inspector y se hizo un reporte. Te digo porque ya 2 veces me ha tocado a mí. Es todo.
Thank you so much, Roberto, for sharing your experiences. I don't know, Jennifer or Ryan, if you all have any follow-up to that.
When we do get complaints from the public, we log those in our system and we do respond. And so if there is a specific occurrence that you want us to come back with, we're happy to do that. We can look up that call in our system and that report, and we'd be able to provide an update on that.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. We will make sure to add that as an action item, and that way we can keep track of it and bring it back. And I'm seeing agreement from Emily La Rosa as well. So we'll make sure to add it to the action tracker.
Okay.
Also, seeing a question here from Cesar. Are the self LDR inspections made randomly? Otherwise, he worries that operators could do the LDR under conditions that are do not represent normal operations.
Yeah, you keep on beating me. I'm like typing in responses, and so thank you for saving me time. So we perform random unannounced inspections of those sources, and so It's definitely not in their interest to look to do something like that, because it only increases the likelihood that if we were to go out and do inspections ourselves, that we're going to find the leaks. And so when we find those leaks, then we take enforcement action, and it costs them money. So the best thing for them to do is to do really thorough inspections themselves, and try really hard and make sure that their equipment is being well maintained and leak free.
Thank you, Ryan, for that answer. We are going to, at this point, transition us to our standing updates. So at this time, I'm going to, oh, I see a hand. So before I do that.
I'm sorry, Amy, can I just
Yeah.
jump in there for a second? I heard a question, I think earlier from Mario about if there was a way for laws to be strengthened or rules or regulations strengthened. And I don't know if this group does get any legislative updates, but there may be some interest there are a couple of bills right now in the legislature that increase enforcement tools available for oil and gas enforcement cases. And one in particular is a bill, AB 631, that may be of interest to the group to check out. And that's all.
Thank you, Erica, for that update. I will make a note of that, so maybe we can work with getting someone to provide an update to the community, so that folks can be informed. Jesus?
Yeah, I think if we could see visuals of what the enforcement looks like, or what escalation looks like. Currently, I'm not really seeing any dissuasion from operators falsifying the self-inspections. Yeah, if we can see that might be able to help me understand that a little better. Because currently, from what I understand, these are the operators that got caught. We don't know, the ones that have not gotten caught, and what that looks like.
Jesus, we are responsible for documenting action items. So I just need a little bit more clarity from your request here. Are you asking for when the next update happens on these inspections to have like an infographic, some sort of model of what it looks like for folks to not pass inspection or to pass inspection? Like a presentation, you mean?
Yeah, presentation, a visual, mostly because I'm a visual learner there. But yeah, because it just feels like there's a lot of like slap on the wrist, stop doing that, stop doing that, and then they just. I mean, from what I understand, some of these leaks were known about for a while. Some was informed and they hadn't done anything. And so when will, essentially when will those wells be capped? When will Sunray see penalties for putting in danger our community? Since some of these wells were in the explosive range. I mean, those are lives. I would like to see some serious penalty there. Not just lives, our students. Is right up against our high school.
Yeah, so we can make a note of that so that we can have some visual version of the presentation for the next meeting. Thank you. Elvia?
Sí, yo le quería decir cuando fue la fuga que se rompieron debajo de las casas, fue en el 2014, pues yo vivo aquí, ¿verdad? En estas casas, donde fue hace 9 años, y quería saber si ellos cuando van a ir a revisar, si ellos nos pueden dar el récord, que ya está todo, pues está ya arreglado todo de lo de las fugas, porque pues ahorita estamos todos los vecinos, como nos dijeron que podía explotar, estamos tristes, ¿verdad? Y quería saber a ver si nos podían dar un papel que ya está arreglado, porque hace años nos dijeron que estaba arreglado y creo que fue mentira, porque todavía huele, las casas donde fue las fugas, las 2 casas en la esquina, huelen todavía mal. Disculpen que me meta, soy hermana de ella, Joana. No es triste, toda esa gente está súper estresada, enferma del estrés, del miedo que pase algo en cualquier minuto y no avisen, porque es lo que saben hacer, no avisar. Así no nos han avisado, nunca pues no nos avisaron, ni la primera vez que hubo la fuga, ni ahorita nos han avisado. El único que nos avisó fue César, gracias a él y a su hermano, hemos sabido de las fugas que ha habido aquí en las casas.
Gracias, Elvia y Joanna, por compartir. Thank you so much for sharing. Mario?
Yeah, it's like I said, there's a lot of concerns with the citizens. And I feel that we should have stricter rules on what's going on. And not only that, let's have a meeting to sit down and really figure out and go back to the drawing board and try to figure out what we have to do to make it work. Yeah, that's all I want to say.
Thanks everyone for sharing your concerns and for sharing your input and recommendations. We've captured several action items that are requested on your behalf, and so we'll be sure to bring those back up to all the agencies that are part of implementing some of this work. And we will also reach out to CalGEM to figure out what happened today in that miscommunication of them not being here. With that said, we do have other updates for you all. So at this time, I'm going to transition to my colleague Liz to walk us through some of these standing updates.
Thank you, Amy. This is Liz. So we do have some updates for everyone tonight. I think first we have an air monitoring status update. I think this might be CARB's update. Correct me if I'm wrong. No.
Oh. Yeah, I can update you. Yeah, the main thing, the only thing I wanted to share today is that CARB is holding workshops on the Blueprint 2.0, which is the blueprint is what we call this short for our document that basically gives the guidance for this entire program. And it's required by law to be updated every 5 years. And that's where we're at right now, is we're updating it. And that's due by September. And so we are deep in the midst of gathering comments and guidance from community members and anyone who is involved in this whole program. So I definitely want to invite you all to to those workshops. Let me make sure I don't say something wrong and get the right dates here. And I will also drop this in the chat. But so we are having 3 workshops. They are all virtual and they are all being held from 4 to 7 p.m. And the dates is July 7th and 11th. And those 2 meetings will be held primarily in English, offering Spanish interpretation. And then on July 18th, it will be primarily in Spanish with English interpretation. So keep those in mind, and I hope that you will come, especially if you have some strong feelings on how you'd like to see the program change. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Could you write down those dates in the chat and we'll add them to the action items? And I see we have a hand up from Emma. Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I apologize for missing this earlier. But regarding the wells that were identified that were leaking, did y'all say if those were already repaired, the ones that didn't have the operators?
Yes, so in my update of the 11 wells that were initially leaking on May 24th, 8 of those were repaired and re-inspected. 3 are still being repaired, and there were some additional wells that still had what we called open-ended lines. They're not active leaks coming out, but they do require either a plug, a blind, or 2 closed valves to come into compliance with district rules. And so those are the outstanding wells for Sunray.
3 of those. Okay, and I know Minerva had some questions. No sé, Minerva, si guste ponerse en altavoz para hacer más preguntas. Okay, sorry, maybe she didn't. But also, sorry, the location for those 3 wells that are currently being worked on, did we share the location for those?
I don't have that information in front of me as to the exact location, but it's something that we can provide in our next update.
Okay, thank you so much. I apologize for going back into the agenda. I appreciate it.
Since this is an important topic, I think we can, put together an update that we email out to the committee in the next few days, or by next week at the latest.
Thank you, Brian. We'll note that down as an action item. There's another question in the chat. Can we have the API for the 11 wells in the notes action items?
I think that's something else that we'll be able to provide in our update.
Thank you. And so if there are no more questions on that update or on CARB's update about the Blueprint 2.0 workshops, I think we have another update from, let's see. Does the Department of Pesticides have an update that they would like to share?
The only update that we would like to share with the community is our hearing for, as you all know, we are working on the 130 regulation. We had our second hearing in May 31st. And by that time, we also received all the public comments. The update is that we are reviewing all of those comments. We received a lot of those comments and going through all of those questions and trying to provide response for all of them. Thank you for all the feedback that you provided to us, and I know our staff are working on responding to all of those comments, making sure that we have response for each of those unique comments. That's it.
Thank you for that update. I see Bianca, your hand is up. Go ahead.
I have a question in regards to the DPR. I know that they're doing second rounds for notification right now. I wanted to make sure that if you have reached out to the Kern County Ag Commissioner to see if they have any potential of doing the second round, and if not, what is DPR going to do for it? And also for like the T loan, is it going to do any changes here in the Kern County area because of the high elevated concentration of T loan in the Shafter area?
Thank you, Bianca. In terms of the notification, you brought it up in the Shafter community meeting setting. For the agenda setting, I reached out to the work group that are working on the notification part. They are still working on it. They are basically using the study that UC Davis conducted on the first pilot. There hasn't been any much update about the second. As you said, there would be a second round, but it hasn't been finalized yet. So at this moment, there is no update that I can provide to the community for the notification. In terms of the T-loan, can you add more clarification? What are you asking about? Is it about the notification or is it about the rulemaking?
No, the rulemaking for the T-loan, and what I have a follow-up question. Is DPR doing anything to minimize the exposure of T-loan? And if so, what other chemicals are you using as an alternative? If they're also harmful, can DPR give an information to the area of what other chemicals are being used by growers instead of using T-loan?
In terms of what we are doing regarding the rulemaking, that's exactly what you mentioned. No, the entire rulemaking is to mitigate any possible exposure to 1,3-D. So yes, that's something that this proposed rulemaking aim to do. In terms of other chemicals, we have presented several times into this community and chapter community about other fumigants and other pests that are being used around these two communities. I'm not sure if that's what your question is or whether I answered your question or not.
Partially, but yes, thank you.
Of course.
Thank you for those questions and for the update. Any other questions for DPR before we move to our next update? If not, then I think our last update is from the Air District about the text notifications.
Hi, Liz. Thank you. I could take this from here. All right, I'll go ahead and share this slide with you all. All right, let me go ahead and share my screen. All right, so something that the district we're looking to do a little bit differently is to use all of our avenues of communication. So we would like to include text messages that take you straight to our agenda, any of our messages that get sent out. So really, we'd like to task you all with 3 bullet points. So we'd like for you all to add this number. If you received the text today, this is how the text should have been received. Should say test or AB617. And then it'll have a link. So you could go ahead and click that link and it'll shoot you straight over here to the agenda, any notifications. But yes, the first item that I'd like for you all to do, if you receive these messages, is to add this phone number right here, because this is a stationary phone number, so it won't change to your contacts. You could have it under Air District or whatever it may be. This is a one-way communication. So this is pretty much a robot giving you all notifications saying like, hey, this is the next CSC meeting, this is the next subcommittee meeting, or whatever you'd like.
Hi, Eric, this is Amy Ramos. Just to confirm, what I'm hearing you say, everyone who's on the list, or at least the CSC members who are here tonight, should have received a text from the Air District today from this phone number?
That is correct.
Going to. Oh, they should have already. Okay.
Yes.
So maybe folks can check right now. And maybe I see people lean in, so maybe you want to read the phone number out loud.
I'll go ahead and zoom in into the phone number. So right here, it's 888, or it'll be 1-888-714-3382. But yes, this message was sent out today. And it should look like this, very much like the emails that you receive.
Eric, si puedo agregar algo adicional. El mensaje que hubiera recibido sí va a ser ese número de teléfono que está en la diapositiva en este momento, pero el mensaje que recibieron no va a decir allí test AB617. Déjenme abrir la aplicación para poder ver qué es lo que va a decir. Debería de haber sido, en inglés se iba a decir Upcoming Arvin Lamont CSC Meeting on 6/28. Y va a ser del mismo número de teléfono, nomás que iba a decir un mensaje separado o diferente de lo que está en la diapositiva. Si no están en la lista, es posible que puedo, en el próximo día, yo voy a trabajar con Eric para poder dejarles, vamos a mandar un mensaje de texto como una prueba otra vez para poder ver si lo recibieron. Pero en unos días, si no han recibido ese mensaje, se pueden comunicar con nosotros si quieren ser agregados a esta lista. Gracias.
Thank you, Mari. And yes, if you ever wanted to opt out of this messaging system, go ahead and reply stop. So just in all caps, and the messaging will stop.
Thank you, Eric. And then just to confirm, you have the contact information for all CSC members, so they will be receiving, because I'm seeing a flurry of folks on the chat. You will be following up the next couple of days.
Yes, that is correct. All right. If that's all for that, if no one had any questions, I'll go ahead and pass it back to Harder.
Thank you, Eric, for that update. This is Liz. If there are no other questions, I think we can open it up if there are any other community members who have updates that they would like to share with the group at this time. Any updates or announcements from the community?
Yeah, I have just a quick thank you to the city of Arvin. They signed on for a letter of support to help make sure that any wells that are still leaking or an issue can be dealt with through a more permanent solution of plugging. So just wanted to say thank you for them for being part of this process and for approving that yesterday in their city council meeting.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your appreciation. Definitely sending some appreciation to the city of Arvin too. I know we have our representative here tonight. I think Minerva, your hand is up. Please go ahead.
Hola, sí, buenas tardes. Desde hace rato estoy tratando, pero creo que mi internet no estaba bien, así que no escuchaba bien, pero quiero compartir, pero no sé cómo, unas fotos que yo vi, que vimos en una red social y no pude compartirlas en el chat, pero aquí dice que hay muchos, como estábamos hablando de los pozos, ¿verdad? Pero está en inglés y quería compartírselos, pero sí, es una información como alarmante. Voy a prender mi cámara y voy a mostrárselos en mi teléfono a ver si pueden o logran entenderme. Ok, a ver si logran entenderme, pero sí dice bien alarmante, dice que hay 27 fugas de gas cerca de las escuelas. Mira, no sé si ven. Dice que en Lamont y Arvin. Son 7 fotos. Las mandé a un mensaje en un número que es el que nos dieron, el 230-6000 o algo así. No tiene mucha información, pero sí, o sea, sí es alarmante, pues, porque dice que en Arvin y en Lamont hay 27 fugas o algo así. Y por eso le preguntaba a Emma que me ayudara, por favor, que yo no podía compartirlas. Esto está en las redes sociales, esto lo vi en Instagram. Y quería saber pues si tienen algún comentario sobre esto, alguna información o algo, porque la verdad pues sí está alarmante. Ahí dice que cerca de la comunidad de las escuelas, dice.
Thank you for sharing that concern. Oh,
I can step in and help. Hola Minerva. Esa información es un resumen de lo que ha pasado con todas las fugas. En esta junta ya nos hemos dado cuenta que de esos 27 pozos, no, solamente 3 siguen con fuga. Entonces,
No escucho nada, no sé si es mi internet.
Sí, es que César tienes que hablar inglés para que la traducción sirva a español.
Okay. Yeah, that Instagram post, I think, is information regarding everything that happened throughout the leaks. But I think we received information, the most up-to-date information. And now we know that there are only 3 of those original 27 leaks that are still happening and they're being repaired. So I think CalGEM will give us more information. Unfortunately, they couldn't be here this meeting, but it seems like they're being dealt with rapidly. But I think that post is a collection of everything that's happened since the beginning of the leaks in late May.
Okay. Okay, gracias.
thank you. I see another hand from Jesus. Go ahead.
Just touching on the letter submitted by Arvin City Council. Absolutely appreciate they were able to do that for us. And I was wondering what the process would look like or if it would be possible for the CSC to submit a similar letter of support, asking for the closure of those wells. And if we would have to go to a vote. That sort of thing.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that does sound like something that would have to be voted on by the CSC. I think Minerva has I'm not sure if you put your hand up to respond to that question. Might have been a mistake, but
No, estaba tratando de bajarla. Sí, fue por error, sorry.
no worries. Thank you. So I think, Jesus, we can note that as an action item to bring up maybe at the next CSC meeting to ask the CSC what their thoughts are on whether they would like to collectively sign on to a letter. I do know that you have brought that up in the agenda setting meeting, so we're not losing track of that.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you.
Were there any thoughts that folks would like to share in response to that comment? At this time, any initial thoughts on the CSC collectively signing on a letter similar to what the city of Arvin did in support of stricter enforcements on oil and gas regulations? I see a thumbs up, and then also in the chat, someone did note they're not comfortable with that. It seems like there might be some mixed feelings across the CSE. It might be something that individuals can sign on to as opposed to the entire CSE.
We can definitely, for our process and your charter, bring it back as an agenda item to discuss so that we can have a full, thorough conversation about it.
Mario, did you want to share a thought on that?
Yeah, I wanna share a thought. Yeah, the only thing I could say is yes, we should write a letter. This is to start to put new rules and start doing something for the community. If we want changes, we have to do the work. We have to do the action to get it done. There's gonna be people that don't want this because they got their hands tied up or something. But I think we should, because that's the only way we're gonna have changes. That's the way I see it.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, it's definitely an important issue to, I think, everyone in this meeting, and it sounds like there might be some alternative ways for folks to collectively sign on a letter to make those changes. So we'll bring that up in our next meeting when we have a little more time to discuss. We do have just 5 minutes left together. And so if there are no other questions, comments, or updates from the CSE, I will move us along to wrapping up. And I'll share my screen. Okay. So hopefully you are seeing the slide with the next meeting dates. So the next pesticide subcommittee meeting date is July 25th, and that will be at 4 p.m. We will have our next CSC meeting the day after that pesticide subcommittee. So that will be on July 26th at 5 p.m. And then our agenda setting meeting will be July 6th at 4 p.m. And that will be, again, an optional meeting where we can discuss more of these issues together in more depth and come to a consensus on what you all would like to talk about on the next agenda.
If I could just jump in, Liz, we are actually moving our agenda setting meeting from July 6th to July 10th on Monday. And we're going to go ahead and send a calendar invite for that tomorrow. But yes, we're just pushing that just because that's a holiday week. And we'd just like to make sure that the majority of the CSC and other partnering agencies can make that meeting. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that update and correction. So an updated meeting invite will be sent out after this meeting, but the agenda setting meeting again will be July 10th and not July 6th. And I will stop sharing my screen there. And I will transition to reading the action items from this evening. Give me one moment. Okay. Can everyone see the action items? Okay. So the first action item from tonight, CalGEM and CARB will present on the updates on oil and gas efforts in Arvin and Lamont. Most likely the next CSC meeting, we will confirm when that presentation will be. Next, CalGEM will provide an update on their follow-up from the public complaint that was called in for gas leaks at the refinery along Panama Way. Next, CalGEM's presentation will include visual representation of the enforcement processes and timelines for violations and follow-up inspections to ensure accuracy of data with specific information about enforcement at Sunray. Next, the CSC is invited to share feedback on the AB 617 Blueprint 2.0. CARB will be hosting 3 virtual workshops, one on July 7th and July 11th, and then another on July 18th. And we have some of that information here. Next, the Air District will provide a comprehensive update on the oil well status, including the API for the 11 wells. And I believe that will be an email update sent in the next few days. Next, CSC members are invited to accept the sign up for the AB617 text notification system and add the phone number to their contacts. We have the phone number listed here. It's 888-744-3382. If you do not receive the text, contact the Air District and they will add you to the list. It looks like several folks have noted in the chat already. So feel free to put in the chat right now if you would like to be added and you have not received the text already. And that looks like our last action item, but I'll pause here to see if there are any corrections to any of these items or anything you would like to add that we missed. Oh, Erica, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Liz, do you mind scrolling back up to the action item for CalGEM on the refinery? We actually don't have jurisdiction over refineries. So maybe I can get some more information about that complaint to find out what the appropriate agency would be for the follow-up on that.
Sorry, you can give that to assign the district to that.
Okay, thank you, Ryan.
Okay, so that will be the Air District providing that update. Thank you for clarifying that. Are there any other questions, modifications, or
Sorry,
additions?
there was one other follow-up though for me about a well in a neighborhood, and I didn't catch the neighborhood that was mentioned. I think it was Francisco asked it.
Yeah, the well is the well just to the south of Arvin. It's at the end of Nelson Court.
Nelson Court, is that what you said?
Yeah, Nelson Court and Towner Drive. It'll be, I think, like just to the east of that intersection.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you for specifying that location. Are any other questions or additions to the action items for tonight? Okay. I'm not seeing any. I see a question in the chat actually. In the meeting, the number was 714, not 744. Which one is correct? Is that for the phone number? I'm not sure. Okay. What was the phone number? Was it 714 or 744? Eric, could you correct me?
Go ahead.
714.
Yeah, 714.
Thank you, Maddie.
Thank you.
Thank you. I will update that. Okay. So I think we can move to closing out the meeting. Before we move to public comments, we can take some closing remarks from the Air Districts and then our co-leads. Ryan, do you have any closing remarks you would like to share?
No, just appreciate all the input tonight, and appreciate everybody's time, and your continued participation is so important.
Yes, agreed. I think Bianca and Cesar would love to invite you both for some closing remarks.
No, just thank you to everyone. I love the participation, and I love the system of the follow-ups again is adding that increased transparency and accountability that we all want to see from this process. So thank you all for that.
Thank you. Bianca, anything you'd like to share?
Sorry, no comments from you. I'm sorry. I have
Don't mean to put you on the spot. Thank you. So with that, I think we can wrap up and just want to thank everyone for joining tonight. Thank you for all of the new members and everyone who shared your opinions and suggestions. I think we can open it up to public comment. Are there any public comments?
Not seeing any on our live stream.
Okay. Well, then I would like to wish everyone a